Hi, folks. This is Mountain Man once again, coming to you from parts unknown. I am having a difficult time here. I wonder why that is. I don't know. But I had nothing showing up in my count. I already did my intro and had difficulty doing a restart to the stream, as it appeared that things were going a little sideways. A little sideways. So if you want to watch my intro, it's already up. But I don't. Anyway, I'm not going to play it again. We're going to get down to business as people come in the chats. You're going to have to listen to me while you make yourself a cup of coffee or get a cold brew or a beverage of your choice. So anyway, folks, let's hope the people that were in the chats in the earlier broadcast find that I am here. Well, we shall see. Tammy's here. Darla's here. This Justice is here. I'll call you Justice. And Michelle is here. All right. So, as now I can see, now things are working. Now I see a viewer count. The clock's moving properly, and I don't know what happened to the first broadcast. I don't know. I might leave that up as a snippet. I'll call it Mountain Man Snippet. Like Barney Fife used to say, Andy, we got to nip it, nip it, nip it. But it's a snippet instead of a nip it. But anyway, folks, Donald J. Trump is going to have a primetime address. And I got very pumped up about it. And my friend Clandestine also got pumped up because we are on the same wavelength for most things. Rebecca, how are you? Well, I don't know what's going on, sissy. There's something wrong because I was broadcasting and wasn't going through properly. I'm not a YouTube tech. I don't know what's going on. But the media is going to be cornered. It is cornered. They don't know what to do. They are in DEFCON 1, as I showed you yesterday. They have declared it themselves because they knew something was coming. And many things are coming. And we're starting to see the fruits of this operation. For many years that we've been cultivating the garden of truth. Hi, Sparky. How are you doing, Johnny? Yes. Oh, what are they going to do? Donald Trump just pretty much told them, look, I'm taking over the airwaves Thursday night, okay? I'm taking over the airwaves Thursday night, and whatever you all had planned to babble about, you're just going to have to lump it. How many times in the past did Donald Trump try to address the nation and they threw up some kind of roadblock? Well, he can't just do this and he can't just do that. He can't take over the airwaves. Blah, 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 blah. You don't hear that now, do you? You don't hear that now. Of course he can. He's the president of the United States. And it's time for people to start acting that way. So, and taking him seriously, and they're going to be taking him seriously. Here, the New York Post. I won't say that the death of Lindsey Graham accelerated, triggered, or whatever you want to say, but it is a event that has worldwide import. Okay, not your average Jokomo senator nobody ever heard of from whatever state that nobody is really ever involved in, like in the past. But we do have a confluence of events. And wait till you hear who's going to be with Donald J. Trump during his address. And he didn't like send a letter saying, I would like to have airtime on your channel. He gave them that kind of courtesy in the past, and they used the bathroom on all Americans, with their arguments and This was just, hey, I'm going to be giving an address. Live with it. Be ready. Hi, Bambi. How you doing? Cole's here. Tammy's here. That's the younger gang in toto. Ha ha. In total. That's Latin, don't you know? But anyway, so the media's been pulling a lot of crap. And they don't know what to do with themselves. They don't know what to do with themselves. And you can see that they're stunned. They're stunned. Leading up to the, let me see which one of these posts. This is the culmination from Clandestine. Let me find it. Of these announcements and events that have been going on. Here we go. They are terrified. Watch the DNC propagandists on MS Now get in front of the upcoming 2020 election declassification. After Trump announced he was going to do an address, somebody leaked or intentionally published that the topic was going to be about the fraudulent election of 2020. And that, don't get me in trouble for it, the powers that be that oversee these videos. I'm just repeating what's coming from the White House. Okay? And it's going to be talked about nationwide. Forget that, around the world. People are going to hear it. So I'm talking about it now. I know I'm not supposed to, but it's a national topic. Declass. The thing that has to happen before arrests. They claim that Trump's claims of fraud are, quote, baseless. And he's trying to, quote, interfere and sow doubt in the 2026 midterms. Remember? The post I showed you kept coming up on my notifications. Donald Trump is trying to take over the elections. He fired the election board. He's trying to take over the elections. This from the people that eked out 10,000 vote wins in states with millions of votes. And you couldn't do anything about it. Trump's going to take it over. Oh, okay. They know it's coming, and they are desperately trying to establish the narrative beforehand that all of this is fake and illegal. Oh, MS Now. Interesting. Let's see what CBS, NBC, ABC, all that bunch says. MS Now, they're kind of like a rogue operation. They're claiming what Trump is doing is unconstitutional, and they bring up illegals, voting, and Antifa. They are afraid, very afraid. And what you just witnessed in this clip, which I will play for you, was an extension of the crime. He's talking about the crime of election fraud. And I'm sure he would concur that is an extension of many criminal acts, okay? And this is a part of the ongoing insurrection. That's another crime. The MSM are mouthpieces for the enemies of the United States. Hold on to your butts because it's about to get crazy. That's another way of saying, what's the magic 2 words? I played the video, and at the very end, buckle up. Hold on to your butts is the same thing as buckle up. So here we have, after they heard that Donald Trump is going to give a major primetime address on all the networks this coming Thursday. Here they go.
It appears the president is entering a new chapter in his effort to question the results of the 2020 election and potentially sow doubt in the upcoming midterms. A new White House task force is expected to begin releasing documents on alleged and so far absolutely baseless evidence of election irregularities in the coming weeks. That is according to two officials with knowledge of the matter. An acting director of national intelligence, Bill Pulte, will be a part of it. I'm going to guess front and center. Joining the group chat, MS Now senior national security reporter David Rode. What do we need to know, David?
So your summary was perfect, as always, but it's very concerning. This is, I think, the first of a bunch of efforts we're going to see between now and the midterm elections to sow doubt. And all this is unprecedented. So this task force in the White House is going through thousands of pages of classified documents from the CIA, the NSA, and looking for election irregularities. The president himself can declassify it, and they can cherry pick examples, that may be playing with the president's conspiracy theories. Just this week, last week, a top Justice Department official sent letters to every single all 50 states to election officials saying, if you allow non-citizens to vote, we will prosecute you on federal charges. No election official that I've ever heard has intentionally allowed a non-citizen to vote. That is spreading the president's conspiracy theories about massive non-citizen voting. This is not in the story, but Secretary of State Rubio is hosting a conference of international leaders about the spread of Antifa worldwide. It is not a worldwide thing, but this is just what we're seeing. And then we've reported this before, but FEMA, which is supposed to provide grants, that the new tactic is to cut off FEMA grants unless state and local governments agree to election rules the president wants imposed. That is unconstitutional. The Constitution says state and local officials count the votes, so the president can't count the votes if they get reelected or not. And so all of this is just, I had one expert say to me, you're not crazy. No president has ever called it a whole of government approach of interfering in federal elections. The federal government has no role. And so that's what's so alarming.
Which is why the president.
Who was that guy? He did all the talking points. It's a conspiracy theorist. He's threatening people with arrest. They have no role. Who is this guy? Where did he get his talking points from? We're going to find out. We're going to find out how these licensed broadcasters on American airwaves handle this problem too. Are they going to plead ignorance? Hi, Doc. How you doing? Nice to see you. Elva said, oh, you're very late. Well, you're just in time now. Ha, ha, ha. So let's see. Sissy's here. Todd's here. Robert's here. Sandman. Cole's here with Tammy. Let's see. Yeah, we know we can do. We don't. Hi, Outlandish. Nice to see you. Doc, like I said, D-class before arrests. D-class before arrests. And that is the process we're seeing right now. So anyway, Donald Trump posted a lot of stuff. Here's one of the things he posted. Give you a little idea of what's going on. Geo, the Zoomer Baptist, okay? 2024 election, if only people who listed their ancestry as an American voted. All red. And he posted quite a bit about part of the awakening we're seeing. Donald Trump again. Eric, what's that name? I can't read it. Burleson. All the mouthing off about the reflecting pool. How dare President Trump waste $14 million cleaning up our nation's reflecting pool? Spending $21 million on a park and playground in El Salvador is a great deal. No comprehension, no desire to comprehend the massive fraud and foreign aid we've dumped out to countries, and they worry about the reflecting pool. This was the last post Trump put up before I went live. We drained the beautiful reflecting pool today in order to fix the scars and damage that was done by the vandals 2 weeks ago. We wanted to wait till after the July 4th weekend. The slashes were 300 yards long. 300 yards? That's 900 feet. And the floor of the pool was cut and then pulled upward with great force by these thugs. The Parks Department had to empty the water in order to fix the watertight basin. It will be refilled and put back into service soon. These country-hating sleazebags should pay a big price for the damage done. Make America great again, President Donald J. Trump. Now, keep in mind, he's the chief law enforcement officer of the United States. That's a message, I believe, not only to everybody who loves our country and hates seeing our monuments destroyed. It's also a message to these judges, okay? And the senators sticking up for the trash who were vandalizing the pool. And the media running cover for these bastardos. Here's the way the media covers the bastardos. See, the noble Olympian. Here he is, breaking news. Former Olympian David Hearn pleads not guilty in reflecting pool case. And the comments below were, "You are a hero to our nation. You've been falsely accused." Foreign bots, TDS lunatics. Former U.S. Olympian David Hearn says pleaded not guilty to the felony charge he faces for allegedly damaging the Lincoln Memorial reflecting pool. I saw you on video confronting a young lady in a brusque manner as a larger male looking down your nose at her saying, what's it to you? Why do you care? Do you own it? And her testimony was that you physically got in the pool and grabbed the liner with your hands and tried to rip it up. And whatever senator that was saying you just picked a little piece of paint up that was floating in the water is a damn lie. And you need to go to jail for what you've done. Everybody else that harmed that pool. So, but see how the media tries to portray him like he's some sort of hero. He's not a hero. He's a traitorous bum. Here's some more evidence. Time magazine. I'm telling you, because watch how all of them handle Trump's address and the firepower he's bringing with him. Director of National Intelligence, the head of the FBI. All going to be laying out proof and documentation of a rank and open fraudulent process. Just like when they laid bare Alexander Vindman, that ambassador, Maria Abramovich, the dopey professor from wherever she was from. Baron, just because he names him Baron doesn't mean he can be a baron. And that idiot standing there, what was he, an ambassador? Or who knows what the hell he was? Guardians of the Year. What was the term I was talking about last night? Guardians. What was the post that said Guardians of what? What Guardians? And we saw the Guardian news reports that Robert Reich was defending communism. Now we have Time magazine. Flashback to when they took up for the traitors who undermined Donald Trump's first administration. So we're going to see, are they going to knowingly go against their country? Are they unlawful combatants participating in an insurrection, helping through illegal psychological warfare campaigns and propaganda? I picked this one out. because it was easy to follow, easy to read, and I put the other version of it up. But I read this last night. Every post Donald Trump put up about Lindsey Graham was sincerely positive. I don't know if his death accelerated this process of declass or not. But I'm sure it had a hand in it. What have we got going on simultaneously? We have Fulton County, 260 FBI agents going down to Fulton County, in Fulton County right now. When's their deadline that they said to be finished with their operation in Fulton County? Who remembers? The FBI going into Fulton County, getting actual hard copies of the ballots, interviewing, you might as well say interrogating, election so-called officials. And if you lie to an FBI agent, it's felony. You could be looking at 10 years. When's their deadline? When was the clock going to stop ticking on this deal? I started broadcasting earlier, folks, and I had problems. The broadcast wasn't going through, so I had to restart everything. So I don't know if Mr. Mendersu or Wayne was over there, but I wasn't getting any feedback. I wasn't getting any viewer count, nothing. But anyway, I don't see an answer, so I will answer it. This Friday, when's Trump's address to the nation? Thursday. Greg, nice to see you. There's Miss Mendersu. Yay, ha ha, Roland's here. All right. Trump's address to the nation is Thursday. The FBI should be wrapping things up on Friday. Or they probably already have. They've been waiting for this, like Donald Trump has said, for a long time. What else is going on? We got Judge Sparkle. Judge Sparkle is going to be going before Congress. She's also going to be facing a possible impeachment. Well, she's the one who said, no, you can't use SNAP records or Medicare records or anything like that to cross-reference voter rolls. You can't institute anything to save the vote or protect the vote because it violates people. People who are illegal deserve privacy too. Donald Trump also put this up. Who's going to be the first to go? This was crooked right from the beginning. Trump's hush money prosecutor played a larger role in federal cases against Prez than known. What was this character's name? He worked in the Biden White House and he resigned for the specific purpose of prosecuting Trump, working hand in glove with the Biden so-called administration. I bet you he cracks like an egg. Don't forget about Fani Willis. Went to the White House for a meeting about a grant for $2 million. And then Donald Trump is indicted. All that stuff's being reported. This isn't conspiracy theory and rumors. It's facts. Facts. Here's something else Donald Trump posted. A YouTube video. You can just put the title in to get it. Democratic socialism must be criminalized. Leaders deported. posted on Truth Social by the President of the United States. We don't need new laws. We need to enforce the ones that are already on the books. What else did Donald Trump post? I'll tell you what Dan Scavino posted. Two years ago today, folks, Butler, Pennsylvania. Can you believe it's been 2 years? 2 years. And Jack Posobiec posted this. 1 year. 1 year ago. Look. There he is with Charlie Kirk. All the crime, Republicans being gunned down, the president having attempts on his life. You know what else I noticed? I played that video clip of Donald Trump that talked about Apple not wanting to open the phones up. I believe they've been opened up. For the one in Butler, Pennsylvania, for the one who was at the golf course, who's serving life in prison right now, the one in Butler's had a cranial extraction, perforation. Those phones have been opened. You know how I know? Because Apple does business in the United States. Apple announced a investment into the United States of hundreds of millions of dollars that Donald Trump even discussed at the White House and congratulated the Apple CEO. Why would he do that if he hadn't made them open those phones up? And just like Donald Trump can pick up the phone and tell all the major networks, I'm going to be broadcasting, so live with it. And they hang the phone up and they do it. He can do that, especially in states of emergency or armed conflict or a predatory incursion or anything that threatens national security. If you're doing business in the United States, you're going to do what Donald Trump says. So I think they have opened those phones up and they found out about those attempts. Who knows what we're going to hear about Thursday? But we will have, like talking to fifth graders, laying out the criminal activity for 2020. Real quick, I do talk about things that are important in our culture, and Jurassic Park was a big movie. Everybody, all the kids like dinosaurs. I had no idea he was 78 years old. You know, people freeze in your mind the way you remember them from cinema. Jurassic Park actor Sam Neill has passed away at the age of 78. I don't know any of the causes or any of the background, but let's see. Here's a report on Sam Neill. I thought he was younger than that.
To millions, he was Dr. Alan Grant.
It's a dinosaur.
The reluctant hero of Steven Spielberg's Jurassic Park. Sam Neill, the actor who brought quiet gravity to some of the biggest films of his generation, has died. Born in Northern Ireland and raised in New Zealand, Neill's career spanned more than 50 years. He found his breakout role in the 1977 film Sleeping Dogs, but it wasn't until the 1990s when he became known worldwide.
Actually, I think I will need 2 wives. Oh, at least.
Starring alongside Sean Connery in The Hunt for Red October before landing the role that would define his career.
She was my favorite when I was a kid. Now I see she's the most beautiful thing I ever saw.
Reprising that role in Jurassic Park 3. And Jurassic World Dominion. He'd established himself as an actor with singular range, appearing in the critically acclaimed film The Piano.
I heard it here. I heard a voice there in my head.
And starring in the classic horror film In the Mouth of Madness. He took to the small screen too, appearing in The Tudors and Peaky Blinders. In 2023, he revealed he'd been treated for blood cancer, writing, "I'm not afraid to die, but it would annoy me." Earlier this year, Neil revealed that he was cancer-free after a groundbreaking treatment.
I was at a loss, and it looked like I was on the way out. There is no cancer in my body. This is an extraordinary thing.
Overnight, his family saying, Sam was surrounded by family and passed with the dignity that has characterized his whole life. The loss was sudden and unexpected, but blessed by the fact that Sam remained cancer-free. Sam Neill was 78.
Neil's former manager said he will be missed by film lovers, wine lovers, and anyone lucky enough to have met him.
I know some of you may have noticed that he was starred in The Hunt for Red October, among other films. And from what I could gather from that report, he had cancer at some point, and they thought he was cancer-free. But apparently it flared back up again, which happens. But anyway, so an iconic actor, starred in many movies, has passed away. Yeah, Miss Menderson, I didn't watch Jurassic Park. To me, it was a kid's film, but I did watch Red October a couple of times. So, anyway, back to the issues at hand. Speaking of the corrupt media, I showed you all this picture last night, remember? That Donald Trump posted. How many of you all remember me putting this up last night that were here? How many of you in the chats were here when I posted it? I said rigged for red, and I brought up Red October. And I said that's why I think Donald Trump put this picture up, because rigged for red means going on the attack mode, okay? And he has the red background with the Washington Monument, a bomber, and a jet. So here's what this APT put up. Tell me how the hell they see this in the picture anywhere. Trump posts photo of nuclear bomber over Washington after Iran strikes. The B-1 has dropped MOABs, all kinds of things, never once dropped a nuclear bomb. Why would they call it a nuclear bomber? Because they're trying to scare people. Trump was on media sites today. I've got some clips where he said he's going to blow the mountains up that they call it Pickaxe Mountain, where they claim to have nuclear facilities. Let me play some clips of the mainstream media. Let's see. Here's Donald Trump. Donald Trump wanted this clip to be played, so let's see what it says. Jack Posobiec said, "We're seeing the art of the peace deal, and President Trump deserves the Nobel Prize for his efforts around the world." Of course, the lefties are going to get upset over this, but come on, man. We cannot afford, as a worldwide civilization, we cannot afford to have atomic mullahs. No matter what you think of Donald Trump. It's just a fact.
When the need arises, are you concerned about what the regime is going to do once those funding streams reopen to them?
I'm not concerned because we have President Donald J. Trump at the helm in the White House, and we've got 2 aircraft carriers parked right there as well. And President Trump has shown that he's not afraid to be willing to use them. Look, he signed the document. We all saw it, Treaty of Versailles 2, I guess, at the Palace of Versailles. And of course, he's not going to put something with his name on it that's not the art of the peace deal. And look, I said before, I think he deserves a Nobel Prize for all of the work that he's done to get us to world peace. But at the same time, it's that amount of trust that we have in the president that the American people put behind him when they elected him in 2024. It's absolutely what J.D. Vance has been fighting for. And that's why we can trust this, because we know that President Donald J. Trump will not accept anything other than full compliance.
I'm smirking because while you're speaking, I'm remembering that it was just yesterday that the president said he talking about going to Versailles. He was like, "That's not gold leaf. That's not gold filigree. That's the real thing there at Versailles." It was a great line, and he ended up signing it there for everyone to see. All right, Brent, Jack, thanks so much for being here.
Great to be with you.
So, yeah, interesting. He hadn't got the Nobel Prize. Oh, because he started a war in Iran. So we have these smooth brains. Smooth brains. Speaking of smooth brains, what else do we have going on? What else do we have going on with investigation-wise and things that have popped up out of the blue? Zohran Mamdani ring a bell? What was this deal with Zohran Mamdani meeting with representatives from Iran? You think that's not going to be checked out inside and out? Who contacted who scheduled who's cheating who's being true? We'll find out who don't care anymore. Everything's going to get checked out. Do you think it's ripe for arrest? I don't know. I'm going to tell you something about communist strategy, okay? Zohran Mamdani's written a bunch of checks his ASS can't cash, okay? All these New Yorkers are thinking, free rent, free subway rides, free groceries, free. He does something so outrageous to get himself arrested, he'd say, look what they're doing to stop me, the capitalists. Because they don't want you to have nice things. Think about it, folks. Think of a psyop. It's impossible for him to deliver what he's claiming he can deliver. So if he can get himself arrested, he can further erode the trust in our own government. But anyway, here we go. Zohran Mamdani and Iran.
Planned, now squelched meeting between a senior official for New York City's mayor, Zohran Mamdani, and Iran's ambassador to the United Nations. The State Department now says it stepped in to cancel that meeting. CB Cotton is live in New York City with more. CB.
Hey, John. So after the State Department reportedly stepped in to clarify acceptable conduct, we're told that it was Mayor Mamdani who ultimately called off the meeting between his Commissioner for International Affairs, Anna Maria Archila, and Iran's UN Ambassador, Amir Saeed Iravani. Archila was reportedly reprimanded for the move, but the fact that the meeting was even considered continues to raise eyebrows, including from U.S. Ambassador Mike Waltz, who reacted today on Sunday Morning Futures.
It would have been a huge propaganda victory for the Ayatollah in the middle of a conflict, as they're not only shooting at Americans, but they're shooting at global shipping, and we're doing everything we can to keep them internationally isolated. It's outrageous, and we shut it down.
So Mamdani, when addressing the controversy this week, said he didn't know about the meeting in advance. He also said it was the Iranian ambassador who requested the meeting and that his team is now working on new protocols.
The commissioner recognizes that this was made an error, and we're working on a new process in terms of new meeting requests. Again, this was a request that came into the office, not one that originated from the office.
Okay, so the timing of the attempted meeting comes when President Trump has repeatedly said he is #1 on Iran's, quote, kill list, and Israel recently shared intelligence with Trump about an Iranian plot to assassinate him, according to a Wall Street Journal report. John.
All right, CB Cotton, thank you.
A city mayor planning on meeting with representatives of Iran. American lives are at stake. The economy is being manipulated by their actions, and they've threatened to kill the President of the United States. Oh, let's have a meeting. Let's have a meeting. Well, what other subversive do we have to deal with here? Laura Loomer put this up. Wow. Ro Khanna appeared on Hassan Piker's show to apologize for not being woke enough. Khanna also essentially stated that October 7th made him more Palestinian, saying, well, I'll go ahead and play the video. Who's this Ro Khanna? Do you all know what level of power he has achieved in this country? A foreigner? You know what level of power he's achieved? And this individual you see on the screen, Hassan Piker, who said America deserved 9/11, who went to Cuba, and is currently being investigated for his actions before and after and during his trip to Cuba, who also has played terrorist propaganda videos on his streaming site, among a great many other things. And he's got a bad hair transplant, and he's trying to hide the fact that he's getting chubby again. He was a fat boy back in the day, but I got to be careful what I say because I didn't say he is now. Okay, I said back in the day. But anyway, here we go. Treacherous. I use that word instead of tree and then zun because I get in trouble for the word tree and then zun. So I say treacherous. Treachery. Okay? Here's their treacherous talk.
Do you feel like that we have an obligation to try to recalculate our relationship with the nation state of Israel? And what do you suggest that we can do as regular American citizens, and what can Congress do as well?
Yes, I do feel a moral complicity and some moral guilt. You know, one of the reasons I want to share my own evolution is that we need that kind of evolution in America. I voted for a lot of the aid before October 7th. I voted for those bills. And the irony that they're taking the money I voted for to detain me, I mean, to detain Americans there. It's almost a terrible twist of fate, sort of teaching a lesson of justice. But, you know, I was not, I've had deep roots in my grandfather and standing up for independence in India and fighting colonialism. And I worked against the war to stop the war in Yemen. And I ran against the first Iraq war. And I've been active in trying to stop the war in Iran. But I was not initially, before October 7th, an activist on the Palestinian issue. But I just saw on my phone the brutal killing of children in Gaza. And I said it's a genocide. And I voted against, for the first time, the aid with Biden, the supplemental bill. They said my political career was over when I voted with 37 other Democrats against that aid. I questioned my own president, as you know, because we met in Chicago. And I was against the Biden then and what the Biden administration was doing and that not having a Palestinian speak. But I have become more and more convinced of the moral stakes of this issue. And at this point, Israel is acting in a rogue way with an apartheid state in the West Bank and is committed genocide in Gaza. We need to end all aid. It's not just academic. We have a vote on the Massey Amendment coming up next week. I mean, are they really going to vote for aid after Israel's foreign government just detained an American congressman and 4 American citizens, and the ambassador is making excuses, the prime minister is making excuses? You're going to give aid to this country? We need to stop giving military sales to Israel that is using these sales to commit genocide, and we need to be very clear about the terms because words matter. Apartheid and genocide, they matter. And I really believe that there's a reckoning that's coming because young people, both Democrats and Republicans, get this.
As far as a member of Congress,
well, that member of Congress shouldn't be a member of Congress. You shouldn't be in our country. And you went over to Israel to stir up crap. That's why they detained you, for their national security. So yeah, you're doing a podcast with somebody who belongs, in my opinion, in jail and deported himself. Both of you need to get out of our country. Out. And I'll tell you something. I'm going to put this up. As far as Muslims go, and where'd it go? Where is it? Here we go. Remember who made a quote? I think it was Pope Pius about the smoke of Satan. How far it can permeate, okay, even through the Vatican walls themselves. Here we have. Steve Cortez put this up. Today, well, he said good morning. Today in 1949, Pope Pius XII excommunicated all communists from the Catholic Church, calling Marxism the irreconcilable enemy of Christianity. Well, he can't really speak politically. He was speaking as a religious man, but I would say it's irreconcilable with civilization. Okay? It is a doctrine of slavery because you need slave drivers in order to make it work. People who decide who gets to keep what, who gets what, who does what. And if you argue with them, what do they do to you? They end your life. That's supposed to be freedom? Hey, Zoran, what's this all about? Trump posted this under Zoran Mamdani. Median rent went up in Manhattan, Brooklyn, Bronx, Queens, and it's only going to keep going up. But no, if he can get himself arrested and say, look, they stopped me from delivering paradise, a worker's dream, a worker's paradise. Why they try communism, what critics call failure, is the actual goal. They want failure, they want chaos, they want dependency because they got all the answers. And if they control all the wealth and all the means of production, the means of gaining wealth, they'll have people eating out of their hands, suckers eating out of their hands. What is another investigation we got going on? Press freedom versus national security. The DOJ has officially subpoenaed the New York Times journalists, 4 New York Times journalists, over an investigation into leaked classified info regarding Air Force One security vulnerabilities. I talked about this last night. Were they getting unauthorized classified leaks that caused Trump to switch planes? Or were they part of a coordinated disinformation campaign to negatively affect President Donald Trump's visit? With agents reportedly showing up at reporters' doorsteps, the New York Times is calling it a brazen act of intimidation. This is a necessary move to protect national security. Is this a necessary move or a dangerous threat to the free press? We don't have a free press. Donald Trump said so, and I concur. Here's what they posted with it. New DOJ subpoenas New York Times reporters over Air Force One story. In a move sending shockwaves through the journalism world, the U.S. Department of Justice has officially issued subpoenas to 4 New York Times reporters. The journalists Julian E. Barnes, Eric Lipton, Tyler Pager, and Eric Schmidt. Are we going to hear these names in the future? Hey, were they involved in anything in the past, like the Russia lie, dossier, fraud? have been ordered to appear before Manhattan federal grand jury on Wednesday, July 16th, 2026. That's tomorrow, folks. And when is Donald Trump's speech, his address to the nation? Thursday. When is the FBI's deadline in Fulton? Friday. It's a big week, a boom week for those who are paying attention. So we have a lot of things spinning right now. A lot of things spinning. But the general population is starting to see the dichotomy, the duplicity of the entire structure, the entire machine. Democrats are mad that ICE is using Medicaid data to arrest illegal aliens after they told us illegals aren't on Medicaid. They're on a lot more than Medicaid. We saw how Liz Warren wants to do the largest tax increase in history to save Social Security after her and her cronies allowed tens of millions of people who don't even belong in this country to get access and benefits from the Social Security program. Something that nobody is reporting on. As usual. But they report on how much the reflecting pool was. They report on how much algae's in the reflecting pool. Move over. Somali Learning Centers. Nick Shirley and Dr. Oz wearing his red tie with that hard look on his face. Hi, Lori. Nice to see you. Just visited Asian adult daycares and found a whole bunch of fraud. Nobody's reporting this stuff. Who's this guy? What's his name? $44 million? The face of a $44 million fraudster. What's the game they play? How do they get away with this? And how come there's no inspector generals in the state that catch it, or no people in charge that catch this rank and open fraud? As a matter of fact, the legislature passes bills to muzzle Nick Shirley. This is how the New York City adult daycare scam works. Daycare is funded by Medicaid. The more patients equal more money. Patients receive kickbacks for attending daycare and bringing friends. Referral program. Our taxes pay for elderly Koreans to play ping pong and Tai Chi. End it all. Not one report from the mainstream media. The reflecting pool costs so much. Liz Churchill, congratulations to Nick Shirley for finding another 100 million plus in government fraud. One man with a camera has found hundreds of millions of dollars nationwide in government fraud, waste, and abuse. And regime media is silent. Where's the outrage? That's because they're not pro-American. They're globalists. They want to see this country destroyed. Will Mamdani pass the 2% millionaire tax before 2027? Look how the chances have dropped. Why? Because he's probably going to get arrested? No, I say play that out. Play it out. Drag it out a little bit. What's this one? Nick Shirley said, Wikipedia is written by liars. And this is the founder of Wikipedia, by the way, answers, unfortunately true. You know what that reminds me of? That reminds me of the founder of the Weather Channel, would get up on Fox News, but nobody else would put him up there. And he would say what a disgrace the Weather Channel had turned into with peddling phony global warming hoaxes. Nobody's batted an eye or reported it. They all towed the global warming line. The lie. Here we have on the phone Donald Trump. He's talking about Iran. 47th President of the United States. Fox News. What's he going to do with Iran?
But we had a deal. What nobody knows, we had a deal. It was a done deal. And then they broke it. They always break it. We've had 10 deals with these people. And so we're just going to hit them very hard. And we're going to keep the strait. And we'll probably run it. We'll become the guardian of the strait. Maybe we'll call it the guardian angel of the strait. And we should be reimbursed for that. When we do that, we're going to be reimbursed because the other nations are very wealthy. They're on our side. And we can't be expected to do that for nothing, unlike we had for many years. You know, we guarded the strait for 50 years more, and we never got paid for it. They made all the money, and the United States was just, they wouldn't. It's amazing. We guarded it for nothing. And now we're going to guard it, and we're going to get paid for guarding it, a lot of money. But we just want to be reimbursed for doing all of this, for putting our people in danger. But we're really not putting people, we're really saving people. Remember this, they killed 52,000 protesters so far. As of this moment, the number is 52,000. So who's going to protest? And a lot of people are surprised about the protesting, that they haven't. But nobody's going to protest when they get shot. They have AK-47s, they have machine guns aimed at people's heads. If you move 1 foot further, you get shot. And then they'll shoot 10 of them, and everybody flees. Who's not going to flee? They don't have guns. Right. So they're a bad group of people. Let me just tell you that. I don't say that often, and I have to live with that statement. They're a bad group of people. They've been this way for a long time, and right now they're getting their ass kicked. And in the top.
Yeah, right now they're getting their you-know-what's kicked. And he said we're going to be the guardian of the Gulf to keep the Strait of Hormuz open. And what a disingenuous way the media handled this. I'll show you a back and forth I had with some ninnies on Utizzle because they put out a flat-out lie. Here's a Telegraph. They put this out. Trump will control Hormuz and Iran will reimburse us. That's what they put. Donald Trump has claimed the U.S. will become the guardian angel of the Strait of Hormuz and Iran will reimburse the country for taking control of the waterway. Well, that's the Telegraph's reporting. What did CNN put up? Well, that's about the that's another crooked judge that's got to go. Oh my goodness, where's the CNN one? CNN said, oh my goodness, that must be farther down. They said that we would charge shippers. The Telegraph got it closer to right. But CNN said we're going to charge shippers, ERS. Oh my goodness, where is it? Well, I'll just put up my responses. And when I come across it, I'll come across it. So I put up... the Telegraph said Iran will reimburse us. CNN said that we would charge shippers. And all the people in the comments were saying, he's driving prices up for consumers. He's destroying the economy and making himself rich. I said, this is disinformation. never stated he would charge shippers. Purposely misleading criminal posts. We must have reimbursement for expenses enforcing international laws. Fire some editors already. So this See Christ person goes through all this trouble to do a verbatim reposting of something where Trump said the U.S. from this point forward, Trump, his own words, would be guardian of the Hormuz Strait, but as such, as a matter of fairness, will be reimbursed at a rate of 20% on all cargo shipped for any and all costs necessary to do the job of providing safety and security for this very volatile section of the world. And then this person asked me, why are you lying? Says I'm a liar. My statement was clear. This is disinformation. Never stated that he would, quote, charge shippers. Where has this idiot put in anywhere where Trump said he would charge shippers? So hold on, I'll put it up. So this is the effects of disinformation and misinformation. They'll die on the Hill. I said reimbursement by who? The Iranians through oil seizures and the nations benefiting from our protection that refused to assist, Galaxy Brain. So shut the heck up. Her response was, LOL. So he's going to charge 20% for every cargo ship. Thanks for admitting it. Admitting what the hell are you talking about? Are you insane? I said, reading comprehension helps avoid simpleton thinking. Unless you're, I was supposed to say, daft. Charging shippers is a lie fools believe and defend. They are not worth squat in any capacity. Well, a white knight comes into the conversation. LOL, how are they worth squat when they are owned by massive shipping conglomerates? And the cargo is also owned by even larger corporations. You really have no idea how the world works. I was saying you are not worth squat. And their brains just, could this be a bot? I just said, you literally do not comprehend what you read. Be gone. But the misinformation, which I believe to be criminal, was the insinuation that Trump was going to charge shipping companies and do his own personal mafia operation, pocketing the money personally. And that's what people were saying in the comments, which is what they want people to start saying and doing. I wish I could find that. I'll come across it. But anyway, some more posts from Donald Trump. Today, he was putting this up to remind people we went from this to this. Remember the dark speech from Joe Biden? What they used to call him? Dark Brandon? To having pride in our nation. He put up this post. Support for deporting every illegal immigrant. 56% support, opposed 44%. This is a Harvard-Harris poll. So I say, make it 66-34, because I don't trust Harvard. They'll skew the numbers. You can bet your rear end on that. Somebody is typing in all caps. Let me get back to the screen and see what the heck is going on. Aaron Smith. Do not type in all caps. I'm taking your post down. Nobody wants to. YouTube takes that as shouting. Nobody. I'm not going to read it. You want to say something, speak like a normal human being, and we'd be happy to engage with you. Welcome aboard. But all caps are not allowed. YouTube Trust and Safety sees that as screaming. I am the only one that screams here. Ha ha ha. Well, oil's right around $80, $81 a barrel. Hi, Title. How you doing? It's wild. Yes, it is. I don't know who it was. You can't even figure out what they're trying to say. I didn't block them. I mean, they can engage. Well, what else do we got going on? What else? We got journalists having to go before a federal grand jury. We got Zoran Mamdani, who is going to meet with a foreign national, which we're engaging in hostilities with, armed conflict. We got judges who are thinking that they can tell the president how to run a federal election and preventing the enforcement of the law when the president is the chief law enforcement officer. What else do we got going on? Well, judges, that's another thing. Who's this person here? The one on the bottom left and in the center right is a judge. And the person in the other pictures is a criminal. What's the story? Get a load of this story. What did I say about the cartels? They got that long green. And I'll tell you why I think it's cartels. Why I know it's cartels. A 4-time convicted felon was sentenced to 1 year in county jail after being caught with 81 pounds of cocaine and $200,000 in cash by a judge who called the sentencing a tremendous gift. What the hell are you talking about? And you're going to tell me that kind of cash and that amount of cocaine and organized crime and cartels know nothing about it? It happened in Grand Rapids, Michigan, where 39-year-old Timothy Gant was granted credit for time served and no probation. They just let him waltz right out the damn door. Gant was arrested following a major bust in the city's Roosevelt Park neighborhood in October 2023. Police seized about 47 pounds of cocaine and 2 handguns from his home, along with $40,000 on his person. They also, he's just a small-time dealer, right? They also stopped a red semi-truck linked to the operation, had another 34 pounds of cocaine and $150,000 in cash and a handgun. Gant had been under investigation for months as part of a drug ring that was transporting cocaine from Texas, first by mail and then by vehicle. And if you want to read the rest of the report, it is by Christina Aguaya. I encourage you all to subscribe to her channel, and you'll get these wild and crazy updates. What is the deal with that judge? You can believe that that's being looked at, and looked at hard. So, let's see. Personal interest, here's Donald Trump posting again, something we all want to see. Watch. Katie Pavlovich tonight, acting Secretary of Labor, joins Katie to talk about the state of the U.S. job market and what Trump administration is doing to make sure Those who want jobs can get them. Well, Trump is addressing the affordability problem and the jobs problem. People are worried about gas, and I understand that. But we got to do what we got to do. Having cheap gas isn't going to help anybody if we all turn into radioactive skeletons because of the atomic mullahs. Nobody's going to care about the price of gas or the price of tea in Mongolia either. But anyway, here's the report.
Acting Labor Secretary Keith Sonderling. Great to see you, Secretary. Thanks for being here. So talk to us about this number, because it's kind of crazy to see millions of Americans who want a job, to see millions of job openings, but the inability for them to obtain one.
Well, President Trump is committed to getting everyone in the workforce and giving American workers the first and best opportunities. And we see statistics like this. We look at that there in the second Trump administration, 900,000 new private sector jobs. And these are high-paying jobs that are high-skilled jobs. And the most important thing for us at the Department of Labor is to make sure American workers have those skills to get those jobs and nobody else. And what we've seen historically with the education system, you go to college, get a 4-year degree, you have debt, and you barely have about 30% of the skills you need for that job you're about to take. So in our administration under President Trump's leadership, we're moving back to how do we skill people for these high-paying jobs that President Trump created. And we believe at the Department of Labor, the best way to do that is through registered apprenticeships, going back to having employers teach students, teach workers about their industry, because they know best, not teachers unions, the actual employer. So we have an industry-led curriculum. We're working with employers. As you know, President Trump has brought trillions of dollars of investment to the United States. And we're seeing job growth in construction, building, manufacturing. Just this month, Johnson & Johnson, $1 billion into Jacksonville, Florida for manufacturing. Last month, $2 billion for Toyota into Texas. And we need American workers to get those jobs, or those investments are not going to work.
Yeah.
So we're really pushing on people to get into apprenticeships, have their employer teach them without any debt, an Earn While You Learn program on the exact types of tools and equipment, with your boss being your teacher. And there's amazing statistics about this. An average registered apprenticeship makes $86,000. That's $20,000 more than graduating a 4-year degree without that debt, which is significant. Right. And these trade jobs that we're seeing out there, you could be an elevator and escalator engineer making over $100,000 a year.
Yeah.
And you know, if you see some of these liberal arts majors making $40,000, $50,000,
they even get a job
with 6 figures of debt, we're moving away from that. So President Trump delivered on bringing back manufacturing, bringing back these jobs. And at the Department of Labor, we're going to deliver on skilling those American workers, because we want American workers to have those chances.
So for someone who's a young person trying to get a job, what would you recommend to them? Would you recommend they go to college and get a 4-year degree, or would you say go to a trade school and then get into one of these apprenticeships? Like, what industries are we missing that students need to go and learn skills so that they have a good paying job when they come out?
Well, everything from manufacturing to welding, some of these highly operated CNC machines. And there's a big technology component to it. So even if you're in manufacturing, agriculture, a lot of these high-paying jobs, you're still using technology. So for us, we want the employers to create those learning opportunities, working with trade schools, working with community colleges. We're very excited about the Working Families Tax Cuts, the Workforce Pell Grants, which allows financial aids for certificate programs. So instead of only being able to get financial aid for 4-year degrees, now you can go to a community college, 8 to 15-week programs, CDL drivers, all these different needs that we need, registered nurse assistants.
Legal CDL drivers would be nice to have on the road.
Speak English, of course.
Yes, and speak English and know how to read road signs.
Haha. Female truck drivers. Why not? Why not? But anyway, yeah, Trump is showing that he's keeping things going on all fronts. All fronts. He put this up also. Donald Trump, House Republicans, take a look at that arrogant grin, America. This is the face of an illegal alien who came here as a child, got special Obama amnesty in 2014, and repaid America by leading a terror plot against the White House during UFC Freedom 250. That's a sniper deal. They've arrested, I believe, 8 so far. The next time you hear Democrats preach about compassion for illegals, remember, this smug terrorist smiling in his mugshot, the same man who wanted to turn a celebration of freedom into a blood and then bath on the White House lawn. There he is with his Harpo Marx haircut. He's another one. You know, we have these treaties where we can't put them to the ultimate punishment. Like a Mexican citizen, they won't extradite to our country because, oh, you're going to put that person to sleep, so to speak. And we got to stop that. We got to stop that. Here we got an example. I showed you this story yesterday or day before or broadcast before. Mexico will pursue legal action against the U.S. after man killed by ICE officer in Texas. We'll show you some legal action. This is Gloria Steinberg-Stein. I believe she's Irish. Mexico said it will pursue legal action against the U.S. following Tuesday's deadly shooting. Unfortunately, there has been another death of a Mexican national in the United States for being detained. No, he wasn't detained. He tried to run over an ICE agent. And then that person's only offense was lacking immigration documents, even though they had been hired by an American company. President Claudia Sheinbaum Steinberg told reporters Wednesday. Well, I believe we had enough trouble out of your country, okay? And the cartels are behind it, and everybody knows you're scared of them, and Donald Trump's going to have to do something about that too. He certainly will. But there was another incident. More video. Fatal ICE shooting in Maine. Vehicle was circling very slowly. Driver claims he tried to stop. So apparently, this driver, it's a 17-second video, made it. But the passenger, I guess, caught one in the gourd and is no longer with us. But he said he tried to stop. Judge for yourself. Must have had bad brakes. I wouldn't say they tried to stop, would you? But the mainstream media is trying to inflame the passions of the people about this stop. I'll put a post up when I come across it where they said, well, let's see if this is it. Oh, this is another episode of interest. FBI agents swarm Lindsey Graham's home. FBI agents were seen Monday in Washington, D.C. at home of late Senator Lindsey Graham, less than 48 hours after the South Carolina Republican died from an aortic dissection. So, yeah, I told you they'd be all over that. I'm sure they had more than the FBI in there after what happened. But anyway, speaking of Lindsey Graham, you know, Donald Trump recommended his sister be appointed, they use the term caretaker, steward, interim senator till the election, whatever you want. But Citizen Free Press put this video up. Her name's, what's her name? Oh, my goodness. I read it 10 times today. Deborah? I'm not sure. Don't hold me to that. But anyway, they said this video was prophetic of Lindsey Graham and his sister, who Lindsey Graham raised after losing his parents. Many of you may have already heard the story, but he lost both his parents within two years, 24 months, before he turned 20. And he ended up adopting his sister. And then, of course, he did 30-some years in the U.S. Air Force and was a JAG instructor. Okay?
Lindsey knows what it feels like to lose everything at a young age. Our mom got cancer and passed away. And about a year and a half later, we lost our dad too. I was just a kid. I remember that day, Lindsey came running in and just grabbed me up and hugged me. And he was like, I am so sorry. He said, but it's gonna be okay. I'm gonna take care of you. And he did. He's always been there for me, no matter what. And it's the same with the people of South Carolina. He works so hard every day. He's passionate about helping people. And you will never find anybody else that cares more and works harder for this state than he does. Lindsey's heart is South Carolina.
So that was his sister in a campaign ad, of course, before he passed. So, you know, his staff dealing with his sister, getting her up to speed, I'm sure would go much, much smoother with it being a very close family member like that. Very good decision, I feel, on President Trump's part. I put a link in not description, in the chats for Buy Me a Coffee. If anybody wants to help support the channel, please remember to give me a thumbs up if you enjoying the video. And if you don't like it, give me a thumbs down, okay? I'm not afraid of you. Whatever you want to do, let me know something. But anyway, I do appreciate everybody that's helped out this week. K&S Cleanup, Robin, Mike and Bev, Miss Mendersue, and Wayne. I haven't seen Wayne. He was in the chats earlier. If anybody gave earlier tonight, I haven't had a chance to go to Buy Me a Coffee because I was furiously trying to get ready to broadcast tonight, and then got my broadcast kapow, kapow. There's my booms. I let off, for new people who don't know, I let off booms when I put up Buy Me a Coffee. Kaboom, 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 kaboom. That's for Miss Mendersue and her Moabs, along with Gary, who drops Moabs every now and then. So anyway, folks, link in the chats. So anyway, I feel it was a good decision by Trump to have Lindsey Graham in there. Let's see what this is. Oh, this is about the response by the anti-ICE people to this, what the video I showed you where the guy said I tried to stop. In Maine, okay, they started raising the devil at Susan Collins' office. Of course, they're going to say ICE is, you know, red rummers and endurers. So they tried to storm Susan Collins' office because they're losing out on their preferred candidate, Graham Plattner, with the Yahtzee tattoos.
17 minutes past the hour right now. Anti-ICE protests outside the office of Senator Susan Collins after a deadly shooting in Maine involving an ICE agent. This is Bedford, where the shooting happened about 25 minutes south of Portland. Our correspondent Alexis McAdams is reporting live here in New York City. She's got the latest details on what is happening there. Alexis?
Hey, Sandra. So as you can see here on your screen, this is a live look at what's going on in Maine. We know federal agents are trying to piece together everything that happened as witnesses tell local media that ICE agents surrounded a car and repeatedly ordered the driver to get out. Then seconds later, we're told they heard gunshots, and it was also captured on surveillance video. Listen to this. blocked off in Biddeford, Maine, if we want to pull that video up, after the ICE-involved shooting earlier this morning. We are told that the FBI and Maine State Police are working the case right now, and the feds have not yet said who was killed.
Well, the cat just sat there. It didn't bother the cat very much. Yeah, you're right, Johnny. I saw her speech. Yeah, she was very gracious. And, of course, it's an emotional time. But she did handle it well. I'm sure she's got what it takes, I say. She's got what it takes. Here we have another video. Shirtless man destroys a Waymo in busy East Hollywood. What the hell? I don't know. Maybe I'll play that on the way out. No, I think I'll play. I got a video I want to play. Anyway, how are driverless vehicles and these robotic delivery systems, how are they going to work in a low trust society, high crime, low trust society, where people can just do what this guy's doing?
Well, traffic came to a stop at the busy intersection of Sunset and Edgemont in East Hollywood due to a man vandalizing a Waymo. Take a look at this. Police say they arrived to find a shirtless man on top of a Waymo in the middle of the intersection. This is video posted to the Citizen app. The man was seen on the crushed windshield holding a bent windshield wiper while screaming at the sensor on the top of the Waymo. Traffic had to come to a full stop as the Waymo was stopped right in the middle of the street. It's still unclear if anyone was in the Waymo when that destruction started. Officers arrived on the scene and arrested that man for vandalism.
What do they say? That's messed up. That's messed up. So anyway. All right, folks. This was leading up to Trump's announcement about his this is to show you, you know, I talk about Fetterman, you can't trust Democrats. Trump pardoned this guy, Henry Kuehler, better than Donald. Nobody knows Henry Kuehler better than Donald J. Trump. I studied his records, learned about his financing, and listened to his two wonderful daughters beg me to help the mother and father that they love. The long and the short of it is, he granted this guy a pardon. He and his wife were headed to jail for up to 20 years because he was stupid in what he did. But above all, because the Biden administration practiced political weaponization on Kuehler and his wife because they didn't agree with his policies on the southern border. So the long and the short of this is, instead of being grateful for Trump, he said, I gave him and Ms. Kuehler a full and unconditional pardon. In doing so, I never assumed he would be running for office again, and certainly not as a Democrat who essentially destroyed his life, even with the pardon given. But he did. And now, despite doing him by far the greatest favor of his life, 20 years of freedom, I'm fighting him for a seat in Congress because his views are not nearly as good or strong as Judge Tano Tijerina, who is much more powerful on border issues, cutting taxes, our military, and just about everything else than Henry Kuehler. So in other words, you can't trust them. You do them a favor of a lifetime, and they give you the finger, okay? Keep that in mind when you're dealing with people like Fetterman, okay? And his mass amnesty crap. Alyssa Slotkin, the Save America Act would make it hard for any Democrat in any state to win the election. And that's why they're panicking. Donald Trump is going to go on TV And he's going to have heavyweights with him from the DOJ, the FBI, National Intelligence, all show that there was election fraud. And if the media twists the words on purpose, I think they're opening themselves up for criminal liability. But here she is, Alyssa Slotkin.
The other thing that we blocked yesterday was the SAVE Act, right? Which was literally allow this administration to rig our democracy so that it would be hard for any Democrat in any state to win any election. And disenfranchise all married women in the meantime, by the way. It just, you have to show your birth certificate at the polls if you have a married name.
Okay, yeah, they know they're done. They know they're done. Here's an interview Donald Trump gave. Now, this is where he's talking about the Pickaxe Mountain in Iran. What's going to happen to Pickaxe Mountain?
You have obliterated 3 of their nuclear sites, but they got a 4th site maybe at Pickaxe Mountain.
Yeah.
Before you enter into another deal, will you insist that IAEA inspectors get down into that deep, deep, deep tunnel and find out if they got a doomsday machine down there?
Absolutely. They don't have it because we have eyes, you know, with the with Space Force and everything else. We have a lot of eyes on it. But Pickaxe is a possible, you know, a possible target for a nice big fat shot right into the front door. And I think that maybe you'll see that. I'll tell them right now, look, the fact is they have no Air Force, they have no Navy, they have no nothing. All they do is talk, and they have fake press. They do very well with the fake press. But
yes, they do.
Because the fake news wants us to lose. It's not even, I mean, the New York Times, they actually said a week ago, can't imagine they say it now, but think of it. They have no Navy, have no Air Force, have no anything. They have no military, they have nothing. And the Times said, and their inflation, by the way, just hit 301% from 5%. They said, oh, they're in better shape now than they were 4 months ago before I started.
Yeah, but the fake media always brings up Pickaxe Mountain, and I don't think it's not on your list. I think it's on your list, and you're telling me it is.
On the list. We're watching it closely. We see no activity there. They're not doing well with their nuclear situation. Every time we hear about it, we blow it up. So they don't like talking about it. But we'll probably give Pickaxe a shot relatively soon.
We'll give it a shot. You know what that means? Here's some strikes that the U.S. did on, I believe, a port area in Iran. And like I said last night, they're hitting multiple different sites. Army barracks, they're hitting airports, they're hitting train bridges, and it's going on tonight as we speak.
في هذه اللحظات مشاهدينا الكرام كما تشاهدون غارات يومية عدوانية على مطار صنعاء الدولي إلى حد الآن بغارتين استهدفت مدرج الهبوط والإقلاع هنا كما تشاهدون. الآن غارات عدوانية متواصلة. شوفوا 4 غارات. الآن غارات عدوانية متواصلة.
Yeah, I would be, feet don't fail me now. I would be going somewhere else. I wouldn't be hanging out there on the porch. I'll tell you that. Here we go. Here's Donald Trump's post. What are y'all going to be doing Thursday night at 9 p.m.? What are y'all going to be doing? And as you know, when things like this happen, I won't be able to broadcast. President Trump will be making a speech, unless it ends early, if it's a half hour or 45 minutes or ends at 10:15 or something like that, I'll go live. President Trump will be making a speech to the nation on Thursday evening at 9 p.m. Eastern. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Now, what if he announces arrests? What if it's a big, part of me is saying what he's going to do is, for the vast majority of average Americans, you don't want panic. You don't want people being shocked beyond being able to function. I think he's going to give reassuring economic information. He's going to insert the pill, the red pill of election fraud, using the heads of various agencies with irrefutable proof to submit to the newspapers and broadcast news, and let people digest it. I could be wrong. He may just crack them right upside the head with the truth. We shall see. But I certainly will be watching it, along with every other American. But leading up to that, my gosh, there's so much. Leading up to it, Clandestine put out, I think Mamdani might end up being the best thing that ever happened to us. Why? Because he's openly collaborating with our enemies in wartime. He is paving the way for Trump to declare the Democrats as unlawful enemy combatants. The Dems are collaborating with direct enemies in wartime. And that's not even mentioned aiding and abetting our enemies with their consistent stream of anti-American and pro-Iran mainstream media propaganda and disinformation. Also, the Dems refuse to enforce U.S. law and defend our borders, allowing our enemies. Allowing our enemies, insurgents, to walk across our border, in which the Dems harbor them in sanctuary cities. Well over 99% of people have no idea of just how severe our situation is. This is a zero-sum game between the American people and communist globalist insurgents seeking to overthrow this nation from within. If anyone thinks Trump doesn't have the stones to do something about it, you are mistaken. The process is already long underway. Trump and the U.S. military have been setting the stage this entire time. Trump is going to save this nation, and he told us many times he is willing to use the full array of powers as commander-in-chief to do it. Bookmark this post. One day, the Dems will be officially labeled as unlawful enemy combatants, and we will try them as literal terrorists via military tribunal. And then I played that clip from Kavanaugh many times with Lindsey Graham defining what an enemy combatant is and going over the history. The history of what happened to people who coordinated with and assisted German saboteurs who had infiltrated our shores. Holy, you know what? The Dems are reporting that Trump's address to the nation on Friday is about foreign influence in the 2020 election. This is related to the raid in Fulton County. Trump will be joined by Ratcliffe, CIA, Patel, FBI, Pulte, DNI, Mullen of the DHS, and they are reportedly going to reveal a foreign nation's plan to interfere with the 2020 presidential election. according to two unnamed White House officials. My fellow Americans, it is time. Things are about to get very interesting. And this is the article he posted. Citing the sources from CNBC, Trump to claim declassified intel reveals 2020 election interference. Newly declassified intelligence reports reveal a foreign nation's plan to interfere in the 2020 presidential election. Trump will be joined, and you see all the names I just mentioned. Who's the country, folks? Who was aiding and abetting foreign nations? What country? Mainstream media would not be reporting on the fraud in the 2020 election unless they absolutely had to. MS Now would not make that up. The only reason they are reporting on it so they can get in front of it to convince their sheep that Trump is going to be lying. They are panicking. They are desperate to preemptively establish the narrative that the intelligence Trump and his team are going to reveal is not real. Hence, why they are using the phrase, Trump will claim, as if to say his claims are not based on actual intelligence or the result of all the investigations. The mainstream media would not make up a story about foreign influence in the 2020 election, and if they did, the Trump White House would call it out as fake news. The mainstream media would not draw attention to this whatsoever unless they had no choice, because they know it's coming. This address to the nation perfectly lines up with the FBI deadline for the ongoing raid in Fulton County, which is Friday. It's happening. Todd said, Germany, where the Germs live. Germany, where all the Germs live. Angela. Remember Trump saying, oh, Angela. You might as well hold up the white flag of surrender. Remember that? Mamdani was planning to meet with Iran, but the Trump administration stepped in and stopped it. This was also happening as Iran was plotting an assassination of POTUS. Kind of sounds like the Dems are aiding and abetting the enemies of the United States in wartime. I say treachery, okay? He said tree and then sun, right? Everybody's conking out and going to bed. I'll be darned. Do you all remember, those of you who have been with me for a long time, when I did a video with a video highlighting this senator right here? And he very tactfully brought up the mainstream media and their activity, which was harmful to the United States, Chuck Grassley. And I showed pictures of the Nuremberg trials. And I said Chuck Grassley was setting the table for the military. And also, I believe it was in that same video, I also referred to Lindsey Graham talking about unlawful combatants. So I believe they were working very closely in this. Michelle remembers. Hi, Michelle. So anyway, Chuck Grassley had a statement to make about Lindsey Graham. You know, Chuck Grassley, I believe he's 90 years old. But I believe what he's done over the past 10 years. It's helped us get closer to this moment. So anyway, folks, I'll go ahead and play Chuck Grassley. You might want to look up that video with somewhere in my broadcasts. But anyway, what do I always say? I say thank you for spending your precious time with me. And I should be broadcasting soon. Now, if something big happens, well, if you're subscribed, you'll know when I go live. So why don't you go ahead and do that if you haven't? Don't forget to give the video a thumbs up. And I have put the link to buy me a coffee in the chats at the end here. So once again, thank you for spending your precious time with me. Enjoy this clip of Chuck Grassley. Keep him in mind in the future. And I'll be seeing you soon. This is Mountain Man, over and out.
2 feet from right here is the Senate cloakroom. Frequently, Senator Graham would hold court there. And in holding court, he was making every senator laugh, no matter what the challenge we were dealing with on that particular day. He was infectious in the way he told a story. And of course, there was always a punchline. I was no stranger to being the butt of his jokes. Senator Graham loved to tell people how frugal I was, and that if I were ever to open my billfold, dust and moss would come out of it. I don't know how many times I've heard that. Senator Graham always brought a smile to your face and levity to the halls of Congress. Senator Graham was no stranger to my home state of Iowa as its first in the nation for presidential elections in the year 2016, when he announced he was going to run for president.